A woman named Caroline Ed was driving with her daughter. The radio played news about violent incidents happening nearby, but Ed paid little attention, focusing instead on chatting with her child. Their quiet drive was suddenly shattered by the sound of gunfire. Panic broke out as soldiers began attacking civilians. EDH quickly hid her daughter inside the car, hoping to keep her safe. Shortly after, a soldier smashed the car window. Years passed and the world had fallen into ruin. Society had collapsed, leaving only harsh military rule and a grim law of survival: kill or be killed. Ed, hardened by circumstance, had been forced to carry weapons and fend for herself. She was traveling north by train when soldiers stopped it at a station and ordered her to report to a military base. Though unwilling, she had no choice but to comply. The soldier gave her a piece of paper, and Ed walked behind him before taking position at some place. While standing there, a woman approached and offered her food. Ed happily took the bowl and started eating. The woman started telling her that her husband was stationed there and asked her to check if he was still alive.
Hey! Släpp henne!
Shortly after, Ed was confronted by a lieutenant who ordered her to get into a car with him. He claimed he would take her there, but as they drove, he began asking probing questions and eventually veered off toward a nearby town. EDH realized right away that this was not the route to the base, confirming her suspicion that he had other plans.
Det här är inte vägen till basen.
The lieutenant stepped out of the car after taking a few supplies, warning Ed to stay put because the area was full of dangerous people. Ignoring his warning, she got out, hoping to find someone who could help. Instead, she was ambushed by looters. Ed, however, was armed and skilled enough to defend herself. After a brief fight, she overpowered them, left the attackers behind, and drove off toward the base on her own. When she arrived, soldiers immediately surrounded her and aimed their guns, demanding to know where the other soldier was. Holding up her travel orders, Ed calmly explained that she doesn't know. Satisfied with her explanation, the soldiers allowed her through the gates.
Sätt dig i fordonet.
Inside, she met 3 other soldiers who had also been summoned to the base: Malik, Granvik, and Karimi. Malik, who was well informed about the status of the military outposts, instantly recognized Karimi and realized something was wrong. He revealed that Karimi's base had been attacked the night before and that everyone stationed there had been killed. Karimi was the only one who had survived because he had been ordered to report to this base just in time.
Inga oljeor. Ältevik.
Överste Rad tar emot er nu.
Shortly after, all of them are called in to see Colonel Rod. Rod told them, after 37 years of war, something remarkable had happened. The entire Arctic was finally covered in snow. However, the layer was so thin that no vehicle could travel across it. This meant soldiers would have to move on foot, using ice skates. That was the reason the 4 of them had been brought together. Each one was a skilled skater.
Välkommen till Operation Svart Krabba.
Their mission was critical: to travel a great distance to a remote base that housed a research facility, all while avoiding enemy detection. Success would mean the end of the war. The operation was given the name Black Crab, symbolizing how they would need to move quietly and carefully across the frozen landscape, like crabs creeping through darkness. The identity of their enemy remained unspoken. The colonel continued his briefing with a stern tone, warning that if the mission failed, it would mean the end for everyone, not just the small group before him. Hearing this, Edho protested, pointing out the absurdity of the plan. They were expected to travel thousands of miles through enemy territory, in total darkness, skating across fragile ice. To her, it sounded like certain death, not a mission. She refused to take part. The colonel's expression hardened. He reminded her that this wasn't a request, it was an order.
Det här är inte någon förfrågan, Ed. Det är en order.
After dismissing the others, he asked to speak with her privately. During their talk, he mentioned how much effort had gone into tracking her down and then showed her a photograph. It was her daughter. He explained that she had been found alive in a camp and that the team's destination was the very same place.
Ni kommer att återförenas så snart du kommer fram.
Seeing her daughter's face filled Ed with emotion. The thought of being reunited with her was enough to make her reconsider. Determined now, she agreed to carry out the mission. When she returned to the others, they were deep in discussion, voicing their doubts. Each one believed the mission was hopeless, and that accepting it was the same as walking toward death.
Den här basen är den nästa, der falder. Isen er vores eneste chance.
Ed tried to calm the group, telling them that they were the only ones capable of completing this task. If they succeeded, their actions could save countless lives and perhaps even bring an end to the war. Her words brought a brief moment of hope.
Det finns en chans att vi kan klara det och vi måste klara det.
Malik then said that once everything was over, he planned to search for his brother. Curious, he asked Karimi what he would do if peace ever returned. Karimi replied that he had once been engaged and dreamed of finding his fiancée so they could finally marry. But after so many years of fighting, none of them truly believed the war would ever end.
Hvis du inviterer os, så tager vi med.
Soon after, the captain arrived, handing out supplies and reminding them to rest. They would have to depart before dawn and could only move under the cover of night. This base was the last one still standing, untouched by the enemy so far. However, in the middle of the night, that safety shattered when an attack broke out. Chaos filled the camp as explosions echoed across the dark sky. The soldiers put on their clothes and picked up their guns to go and join the others. With no time to waste, the colonel ordered the team to begin their mission immediately. He gave them 2 capsules, warning that they must protect them with their lives.
Löjtnant Nylund här kommer göra gruppen komplett.
Another soldier who had just reached the base, Nylund, who turned out to be the soldier Ed escaped from, was added to the team at the final moment. Without looking back, the group sped away across the ice on their skates, while behind them, the base was consumed by fire and destruction. They skated through the night, moving steadily across the frozen expanse until dawn began to break. Captain Forsberg then instructed everyone to rest, explaining that they could only continue once darkness returned, since daylight made them easy targets for the enemy. As they stopped to recover, a cracking sound echoed beneath them. The ice began to split apart, and within seconds, the captain plunged into the freezing water. Everyone dropped flat to the ground, afraid that the ice beneath them might give way too. They tried to think of a way to save her, but panic grew when they remembered that the capsules were still with the captain. Without hesitation, Eddie leapt into the icy water. She fought through the cold, diving deeper to reach her. Realizing she was already gone, she grabbed the capsule bag and forced herself back to the surface. By the time she climbed out, her body was weak and close to shutting down. The others quickly took off her wet clothes and kept going. Then they noticed a house nearby and moved towards it. While inside, they lit a fire to warm her. After a long struggle, she finally started to get better, though the captain hadn't survived. With their leader gone, Malik announced that they would continue following military protocol, meaning Lieutenant Nylund would take command. EDA strongly disagreed, questioning why Nylund should lead when he hadn't even been part of the original briefing and barely knew the mission's details. The disagreement grew tense until Malik stepped in and calmed them down.
Og Nylund den højst rangerede. Det ham, der har kommandoen, og du har bare følt befæl.
That night, they sheltered in one of the abandoned buildings, unaware that it lay within enemy territory. While everyone rested, faint noises echoed from a corner. EDH soon realized that Karimi was quietly trying to contact someone through his radio. When the sound of an enemy helicopter filled the air, the group grabbed whatever they could and ran. Explosions followed as the house they had been hiding in was torn apart by gunfire and bombs. Once they reached safety, Ed turned on Karimi, pointing her gun against his head and demanding to know who he had been speaking to on the radio. Karimi, terrified, insisted he had only been trying to contact the base, but he tried to snatch the gun from Ed, triggering a reaction from the others. Finally, Karimi told them he was talking to his girlfriend. Malik demanded to know whether Karimi's girlfriend was still alive. Suddenly, an enemy force started walking by them, but they were not noticed. Nylund intervened, telling Ed not to kill him, suggesting instead that they disarm him. He could still help them find the enemy's position. Reluctantly, she agreed, and the group moved on together. Their path took them across a frozen river where the faint shapes of bodies could be seen beneath the ice. Shocked by the sight, they continued their journey. Then they sat to rest. As they were gathered talking, the helicopter returned, spraying bullets across the snow. They scattered in all directions, diving for cover beneath a bridge until the danger passed. Everyone gathered under the bridge. Nylund decided they should get moving, warning that the enemy might come back at any moment.
Kom igen nu. Måste skynda oss. Det kommer tillbaka när som helst.
When things quieted down, they pushed forward and soon came across a small cabin with lights still on. Inside, they discovered an elderly couple who appeared calm and even offered them food.
När är skärgården? Det har varit förbjudet område länge nu.
During the conversation, Neeland asked why the couple hadn't fled like everyone else. The old man replied that they preferred to die in their own home rather than in a refugee camp. As they spoke, Ed accidentally dropped her cup. When she bent to pick it up, she noticed something: a military mask tucked under a chair. The realization hit her immediately. These people were not innocent civilians, but part of the enemy.
Vad hette brödet?
Before she could warn the others, the old man raised his weapon and fired. Chaos broke out in an instant as the soldiers fired back. When the shooting stopped, both the elderly couple and Karimi were dead. Malik had been hit in the stomach, but he brushed it off, saying it was only a scratch. While they were cleaning up, the radio crackled with a faint calling for Karimi. Granvik responded, and the voice identified herself as Karimi's girlfriend. The message confirmed that Karimi had been telling the truth all along, leaving everyone deeply shaken. Before they left the cabin, Malik approached Karimi's body to close his eyes and to bid his farewell. As they kept going, Malik's condition worsened with every step.
Ormen som äter sig själv.
But their luck turned when they came across a large ship frozen in the ice. They climbed aboard to rest and regain their strength.
Jag åkte med en sån här när jag var liten. Åt så mycket godis att jag kräktes.
Inside, the group discussed what to do with Malik. Granvik, shaken and restless, picked up one of the capsules. Ignoring the warnings from Nyland and Edda, he said he wanted to see what they had been risking their lives to protect. Before they could stop him, he opened it and discovered a sealed bottle inside.
Yeah. Ett virus.
Ed thought it could be a biological weapon, possibly a virus designed to end the war by wiping out entire populations. Malik slowly approached Granvik and took the capsule from his hand.
Det är slutet på allting.
After some time, they all scattered across the ship, leaving Malik to guard while sitting. Suddenly, a gunshot echoed through the ship. Ed ran back to the ship to see what was going on and found Granvik and Nyland next to Malik. He had ended it, unable to bear the pain any longer.
Malik vill inte döda längre. Det vill inte jag heller.
Ed quickly realized the noise could draw attention, urging everyone to leave before the enemy arrived. Granvik, frustrated, accused her of being heartless, saying their comrades were dying while she only cared about the mission. Ed coldly replied that she wasn't there to die. Her only goal was to complete the task and reach her daughter. With that, she set off alone into the ice, taking the capsule. The ice grew weaker the farther she went, and soon cracks began to form beneath her feet. She lay on her chest and took off her bag to ease the weight. Just as she was about to fall through, Nyland and Granvik appeared. They pointed their gun at her, ordering her to give them the capsules. After getting the capsules, they managed to pull her out with a rope. Knowing the area was unstable, they tied themselves together and pressed on cautiously. As they were going, a sudden flash of light cut through the fog, followed by a barrage of gunfire. They kept moving, but crawling. Granvik, who turned out to be a skilled sniper, returned fire with precision, taking out their attackers. Using this distraction, Ed skated through to face the attackers but found them dead. After the skirmish, the three found temporary refuge and built a small camp to rest. That night, Granvik's composure cracked. The weight of everything he had seen and done haunted him deeply. He told them about a time when he had been buried alive with the bodies of his fallen comrades, rats gnawing at the corpses beside him.
Jag tror att de hade känt lukten av liken.
Granvik explained that joining the army had been the only chance he saw to survive. Edda told him not to dwell on it. Soldiers have a duty to finish their missions. Granvik replied that despite everything, completing missions had brought him a kind of victory. Nyland asked why this particular mission mattered so much to Ed, given that the capsule could destroy all human life, but she offered no answer. Nyland then suggested they sleep.
Sov ni. Vi fortsätter döda innan gryningen.
When Ed woke the next morning, Nyland and the capsule were gone. Shocked, she gets up and starts looking around, but bullets start pouring on her. She woke up Granvik and they both took positions and started firing. The fight was intense. With few bullets left, the attackers relied on grenades. As Eddie prepared to throw one, she was shot and the grenade slipped from her hand. The blast killed Granvik. Wounded and in pain, Ed forced herself to move, picked up Granvik's rifle, and resumed skating. In the distance, she spotted Nyland and shouted for him to stop, but he kept going. He had a plan to destroy the capsule. Ed fired at him and wounded him. She reached him and took the capsule from his grasp. Nyland begged her not to open it, warning that if the virus spread, millions would die. He insisted the device was not meant to target enemy fighters, but to wipe out innocent people. Ed ignored Nyland's warning, driven only by the thought of saving her daughter. She pushed forward with the capsule in hand, but her strength was fading fast. She started hearing voices in her head. Eventually, she collapsed in the snow. Two figures on horseback approached her and spoke a coded phrase, black. Recognizing it as part of her mission's code, Ed weakly gave the correct response before losing consciousness. Hours later, she awoke in a medical facility. A doctor informed her that they had removed a bullet from her abdomen and amputated 3 of her toes. He then told her to prepare herself. The Admiral wanted to see her. When she was brought before the Admiral and several officers, he praised her courage, congratulated her for completing the mission, and awarded her a medal for bravery. To her surprise, Nyland was also present, alive but visibly injured. Edge immediately asked about her daughter. The Admiral finally admitted the truth. They had lied to her. There had never been any evidence her daughter was alive. The promise of reunion had been fabricated to ensure her cooperation. Overcome with grief and fury, Ed lost control and struck the Admiral across the face. Nyland stepped forward quickly, grabbing her to hold her back as the guards moved in. She is then wheeled back to the hospital. Ed's heart was heavy as the doctor changed her bandages. The doctor, looking at her fingers, told her to rest, or she might lose her fingers too. While he wasn't looking, she quietly hid a sharp blade behind her back. Later, she found Nyland and told him he had been right. They needed to destroy the virus. Nyland shook his head, saying it was too late. They had the chance before, but she hadn't listened, and now everything was beyond their control.
Det är lite sent att vilja rädda världen nu.
Ed insisted that if there was even the slightest chance her daughter was still alive somewhere, she couldn't allow the virus to spread and endanger her. Nyland pointed out that they were both wounded and unarmed, asking how they could possibly stop anything now. Ed looked down at her medal and said that everyone already saw them as heroes. They could use that to their advantage.
Att förstöra viruset är det enda jag kan göra för att skydda henne.
Later, Edge and Nyland approached the laboratory. They are told they don't have access to that. While Nyland was arguing, Ed used the blade she stole to attack. Nyland joined her, and they managed to get weapons. Then they walked into the lab and threatened the scientists to show them where the capsule is. After getting it, they decided to blow the place. There was an emergency exit, and putting on the scientists' cloth, they pressed on. Hearing the alarm, soldiers and scientists were preparing to leave for transport. Ed and Nyland moved with the group. Ed's condition worsened as her stitches reopened. Refusing to leave her behind, Nyland helped her up and they kept walking. When they reached the helicopter, Nyland tried to find a seat there, but soldiers seized him and the Admiral appeared with his guards. Ed revealed a grenade in her hand, its pins connected to the tubes containing the virus. She caught Nyland's eye and subtly motioned for him to stay back. The Admiral shouted for her to stop, pleading with her not to do it. Eda stepped back toward the edge of the platform, holding the grenade steady. The Admiral tried one last time to appeal to her, telling her to think of her daughter. Ed smiled faintly and told them that is what she always does. With that, she turned and leapt, disappearing into the icy waters below. The grenade exploded the moment Ed hit the icy surface, sending a bright flash through the freezing air. Nyland watched helplessly from the helicopter. The impact destroyed everything around her, the virus, the capsule, and Ed herself. Nyland, unable to process the sacrifice, sat on the helicopter seat, overwhelmed with grief.